Happy 4th of July, everyone. And in honor of the 4th, I'm happy to talk about one of my favorite movies of all time, which took place on the 4th of July. I Know What You Did Last Summer. Now, this movie is based on a Lois Duncan novel that was published back in 1973. However, the book and the movie are slightly different, and you know Hollywood has to spice things up. And Lois Duncan is not a fan of the movie, and I can understand why, because her daughter was murdered and it went unsolved, and she thought that the movie glorified violence and murder, which her novel wasn't intended to do. However, the concept and the movie came at a perfect time in my opinion, and the movie deserves some credit for changing the new era of the slasher genre. The movie itself really wasn't scary, but it was the situation and scenario that was frightening. A group of teenagers accidentally hit and supposedly kill a pedestrian, but one of the friends is drunk, and they make this pact to cover up the crime and dump the body. Now they have to run away from this fisherman who's out to kill them. And that's a great story. And I Know What You Did Last Summer hit theaters in October of 1997, and the movie grossed over $125 million in the box office worldwide. And it had huge success at that time, and most people would probably say Scream and I Know What You Did Last Summer went hand to hand, which is true to an extent. Kevin Williamson wrote the screenplay for both Scream and I Know What You Did Last Summer, and he was involved with the whole Scream franchise, and you definitely can tell the similarities, but in fact, he wrote the script I Know What You Did Last Summer before Scream, and the thing is, he was unable to sell the script, but after the success of Scream, Columbia Pictures heard and bought the script of I Know What You Did Last Summer. I know a lot of people find this movie cheesy, but I really enjoy it every time I watch, and I've probably watched this movie over 150 times, no exaggeration. And to be honest, I probably watched this more than Halloween, and of course, if you know my channel, I'm a huge Halloween fan, and that's my favorite movie of all time. But like I said, I Know What You Did Last Summer is a great film, and I even have the soundtrack, I have the book, I have the DVD, Blu-ray, everything. So I'm a huge fan of this franchise. Well, not the third movie, but this specific movie and the sequel. And one thing that made this movie good was the acting. I thought the acting was great, and one specific actor stuck out to me. And no, it wasn't Jennifer Love Hewitt. It was Ryan Phillippe. This dude took his character and made the most of it. His character was Barry Cox, and he really pushed this story to what it was. Barry, he had that I don't care attitude, which really showed when he choked out Julie James when they made that pact. You say it, and we take it to our grave. That was probably my favorite scene in the whole movie. And if you watch Scary Movie, they reenact that scene, and it's so funny, man. And Barry Cox was the drunk one in the car, but he wasn't driving. Anyway, he was the one that suggested that they get rid of the body and they can't go to jail because they have a life ahead of them. And it starts to hit everyone hard, but Barry is one of the ones that went on about his life, and he thought there would be no consequences. And the other guy, Ray, who was driving Barry's car at the time of the hit and run, he seemed a little content as well. And this character was played by Freddie Prinze Jr. And I always thought he was a bad actor, especially in this movie. And I felt like his timing was off in every scene. And his character was just so dumb and stupid. And during this whole movie, they try to push it off on the audience that Ray is actually the killer, which didn't happen, but they did play it off good in the third act. And Ray's girlfriend, Julie, played by Jennifer Love Hewitt, is always flirting and even getting choked out and cussed out by Barry. And Ray's just standing there not taking up for her. And he's the true definition of a punk, a chump, and whatever name you want to call him. But let's keep it PG. Anyway, Julie was more of a man than him. She was definitely the alpha in this relationship, and it showed towards the end of the movie. And by the way, some people might not know this, but Danielle Harris was considered to play the role of Julie in this movie, and I thought that would have worked out pretty good. However, Jennifer Love Hewitt did a great job. She held her own, and I really have no complaints. She has that famous one-liner, "What are you waiting for?" which was oddly enough suggested to her on set by a fan. So we all should be thanking that fan for that awesome one-liner. And one interesting thing about Jennifer Love Hewitt, she was legitimately scared on set. She stated that she would have nightmares and she would dream that the fisherman was coming after her. And that's probably why she did such a great job. But nonetheless, she got a lot of support. Even Jamie Lee Curtis came on set to show support for her. So that was great. Another star, Sarah Michelle Gellar, who played Helen, I didn't really like her character because she was so dumb, especially in the end when she had a chance to escape and she looked back and next thing you know, the fisherman caught her. And although I didn't like her character, I thought she did a great job. She was well known in the 90s for Buffy the Vampire Slayer, and I really didn't watch that show, so I didn't know what the hype was about. But from what I heard, she's always been a good actor and able to hold her own. Helen and Barry were made for each other. They were boyfriend and girlfriend in this movie, of course. And she was almost more ruthless than Barry to an extent. She was the one that actually dumped the body because everyone was hesitating. So let's transition and talk about everyone's favorite, the blood and guts. And one kill that stuck out to me and stole the spotlight was the first kill, well, the first on-screen kill, and that was Ben getting hooked through the throat. And I could care less about the other kills because it really wasn't that much. Pretty generic and not much blood, which was very effective for this movie. And I don't think it would have benefited if it would have had a lot of blood and guts in this movie. Overall, this was a great thriller, especially for it to be filmed in 50 days. 50 days, y'all. Not many producers or directors in the industry can do that. And it's definitely a sentimental movie for me because I'm all about late 90s nostalgia. I don't know about y'all, but I love 90s movies. Not just horror, but just in general. And this movie's cinematography was great. I love the opening scene and just the music that surrounds certain scenes. But if you want to know more about the cinematography and stuff, please check out Wes Hightower. He recently broke down everything you need to know about it with the I Know What You Did Last Summer movie review. So I will link him down below. Feel free to check out him and his channel. He has a lot of cool content. So back to the movie. Although this was a great movie, it did become a little bit boring towards the end. And the third act was underwhelming. And the third act is barely mentioned when people are talking about I Know What You Did Last Summer. And I think it was a poor payoff. And if it's anything I can change about this movie, it definitely would be the last 15 to 20 minutes. But one thing that wasn't underwhelming was the location. I think the location increased the watchability in this movie. It actually was filmed in 2 locations, Southport, North Carolina and California. But over 50% I think was filmed in North Carolina. Even Duke University campus was used, which added a nice touch. And speaking of North Carolina, and when mentioning I Know What You Did Last Summer, most people don't know that the Egan house is the actual Conjuring house that was filmed in the 2013 Conjuring movie. Good taste in location. So in conclusion, if you haven't seen this movie,
what are you waiting for, huh? What are you waiting for?
go check this movie out, and it's great for date night. All you need is some ice and some popcorn, and it will make for a great movie night. So definitely check that out. And that's basically everything I had to discuss and talk about with this iconic movie of the late 90s. Share your thoughts down below about your memories of I Know What You Did Last Summer, and just give your overall opinion about this movie. Don't forget to leave a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel for more horror movie discussions. Be safe. Peace.